Is he all tied up?
We have to do it now. He's getting worse. So what do you want to do?
Well, I learned from the best zombie movie ever, Shaun of the Dead, that all you really need to do is hit him upside the head with a cricket bat. But we only have baseball, America.
Shaun of the Dead is not the greatest zombie movie. It is The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead isn't even a movie. It's a stupid TV series.
It's the best zombie show, whatever.
No!
Yes!
No. So we're just going to take this.
No, you put a little barbed wire on it and then...
Barbed wire? Okay, you know what? He did not use that on zombies.
Let's just end this argument right now.
Fine.
And say that Zombieland was the best zombie movie.
I mean, it was good.
I just want to die.
Welcome back to another spooky episode of Round the Clock Frights, but despite what you guys may be thinking, we are not sponsored by Brock's Metal Cream Pumpkins because we actually have better taste than that.
Ouch!
Now that I've destroyed a beloved Halloween candy, let's go ahead and talk about today's feature, which is
Nearly my TV.
Zombieland Double Tap, the hotly anticipated sequel to the 2009 film Zombieland, starring Jesse Eisenberg, not Michael Cera, Woody Harrelson, Emma Stone, Abigail Breslin, and the Ghostbuster himself, Bill Murray. Yes, this was the much anticipated sequel to Zombieland. It was actually in the works for a while. They had to put it on hold because
They had actors that are awesome.
well, not only that, but the writers of the Zombieland movies are the same writers that worked on the Deadpool movies. And so they had to put those into production first. And then they finally decided to go back and write a sequel to Zombieland Double Tap. They said they wanted to wait for the right story. And what did you guys think? Was it worth the 10-year wait?
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
It had a lot of the references and Easter eggs and stuff like that. Brought back a lot of the characters that we remember from the first one. Had a lot of that same chemistry with the cast. Had a lot of really great moments showing them bonding as a family and how they really feel about each other and that kind of that growth. So you could definitely, it felt like stepping back into just this, it was just going home.
I really liked it. Like, I mean, I watched the first one for the first time that same day we went and saw the Zombieland Double Tap. And right away after I saw it, I was like, this movie is really hilarious and really good. You know, I mean, of course, you got some amazing actors in the movie. So, I mean, why wouldn't it be a good movie?
I was a little bit worried going into Zombieland Double Tap because the filmmaker of this movie, Ruben Fleischer, he's worked on a number of projects since then, and he hasn't had exactly the best track record. He directed the movie Gangster Squad, he directed Venom. None of these movies were critically well received, so I was a little bit nervous going in, but I have to say, they stepped back into this world very comfortably. It was still funny as hell.
Yeah.
There were a lot of really great comedic moments. The cast had amazing chemistry, and I honestly had a good time. I wasn't looking for anything too deep. I just wanted another entertaining movie where Woody Harrelson bashes some zombies' brains in, and this sequel delivered just like the first one.
I think part of the problem with him not finding success with other movies is that he was trying too hard to fit into another aesthetic. And this is his aesthetic. This is where he can visualize and he really feels comfortable both going out on a limb and trying new things as well as, you know, how to see it and place it together to make it effective. I think the other movies he did, he was trying too hard in realms that are not necessarily up his alley. But that's just my opinion.
So between the three of us, we've seen a good number of zombie movies, ranging from Night of the Living Dead to
epic.
Completely epic, to Zombieland. And so we're very familiar with this subgenre. You know, it's been very popular over the years. We've even had hit TV series like The Walking Dead. So I was very happy with the opening sequence because they gave us things that I personally have not seen before in a Zombieland or in a zombie movie. And as we warned at the beginning, there are going to be spoilers, but this movie just does new things right off the bat. Like they talk about how there's this new breed of zombies called the T-800.
Oh yeah. Well, no. At first they started like doing the homers. I love that.
Oh, the homers.
The homers. The guy trying to go after the butterfly.
The brainless like Homer Simpson zombie.
And then they had what was the second one?
Oh man.
The Einsteins.
No, the Hawkings.
The Hawkings. So they had the Hawkings, the ones that were a little bit more intelligent, the speedsters, and then they had not the T-800s, because the T-800s were new, but they had one other one, so they had 3 of them to begin with, and you're like, okay, I like that they separated them like that.
Yeah, they actually give them their own little categories.
And you can definitely tell that, like, this is from the screenwriters of the Deadpool movies, because for one, some text will appear on the screen just describing what each of these zombies is and like what their abilities are, and also we have Jesse Eisenberg narrating as he did in the first movie. But I do have to say, I thought they did a very commendable job making a Zombieland sequel. I mean, it wasn't as good as the first movie, but the first movie, it was just so unique in the way it was like written, just like its execution.
Yeah.
Just how meta it was.
Oh yeah, it was very self-aware of this is supposed to be a comedy. This is supposed to be slightly actiony. It's not supposed to be scary at all. This is just supposed to be good fun.
Oh God.
Hey, Possum Ace.
Sorry, just you in that chair.
I think I would have made a damn fine president.
You would have brought a real dignity to the office.
You're welcome, America.
But what I also liked about the second one was like you got to see like this bond between these characters who obviously been together, with each other for 10 years, and you got to see them kind of like what happened to them in those 10 years.
Like in the opening scene where they basically break into the White House and they make the White House their new residence.
Yes.
It was a good place to go. It's got fences. It's got security. If it wasn't for Reagan, it would still have solar panels. So we've got it's a good place to hide out.
Yeah, a smart choice. I mean, if I were living during the zombie apocalypse, I would want to still live in a very fancy setting. So of course I would go to the White House and I would want to sleep in the president's bed.
After going to Bill Murray's house.
After going to Bill Murray's house, absolutely. Which this movie has one of the best mid-credit sequences ever, but we will get to that.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
But this cast, like when you first see them, it feels like they have been living together for like 10 years. It feels like they've developed an even stronger bond. They haven't lost their touch at all.
Oh no.
Woody Harrelson is still cracking jokes. Jesse Eisenberg, who by the way has magically not aged.
Oh,
He's a vampire. Didn't you know that?
Yeah.
He's one of the vampires, like Nick Cage.
And to go into the plot of this movie, I will say my biggest problem with this movie was like the plot itself, because it wasn't as tight, it wasn't as cohesive as the first film. There's one section in the middle that I thought dragged out a little bit too long, but I did like the setup about how Abigail Breslin's character is now in her early 20s. She's upset because there aren't any kids her age. She wants to go out there and explore. So her and Emma Stone end up ditching Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg because Jesse Eisenberg wants to marry Emma Stone.
Well, I mean, who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't want to marry
She's
Emma
hot,
Stone?
Yeah.
Especially after seeing Emma Stone in Crazy Stupid Love with Ryan Gosling. She was adorable in that movie.
Yeah.
But
I like her in ZA. So.
Abigail Breslin comes across our first new character, which is this pacifist hippie,
Jesus-looking
this pacifist hippie college student from Berkeley.
Berkeley.
And I just loved how Woody Harrelson kept, making, all these jokes like, I don't hate pacifists. I just want to beat the shit out of them.
Well, I mean, and even though this whole movie is pushed along by the choices Abigail Breslin's character makes, and that's Little Rock. I thought that one of my biggest things, because I love Abigail Breslin, I think she has wonderful comedic timing. I think she has a great sense of both drama as well as comedy. She's a wonderful actress. I loved her in Little Miss Sunshine. I loved her in
Signs.
Signs. but she was good in Signs. She was great in Scream Queens. I loved her in that. She was great in also this movie. It's an independent flick called The Final Girl. Not to be confused with The Final Girls, but The Final Girl. So she's used to this kind of aesthetic, and yet I think she was really underused. She was kind of passive, even though she was the one driving the entire story.
But besides, like it being, driven by them trying to find her, you also have the dilemma of, Jesse Eisenberg's character, proposing to Emma Stone's character, and there are little obstacles and stuff like that. So
I will say the main breakout character for me, because you get introduced to a lot of new characters. We had the Jesus character, Berkeley. My favorite new character was Madison.
Yes.
Played by Zoe Dutch.
Oh my God, she was... Okay, so usually the little blonde bimbo kind of shtick really annoys me, but she did it in such a charming way that you were like, oh, honey.
I will say this. Okay. I thought she was going to turn out to be like a zombie. I thought she was going to be like
the new
a
zombie.
more advanced type of zombie, because I thought it was a bit of a coincidence how Jesse Eisenberg is rummaging through this little grocery store and
Candle shop.
This candle shop, yes, and then she just happens to be standing there.
Yeah,
So
and then she was living in a freezer in a Pinkberry or something like that.
She was she had survived the zombie apocalypse because she had been hiding in this freezer. And as Woody Harrelson says, the reason she's still alive is because zombies go after brains, and she doesn't have any.
Oh, whoopsie, I forgot the seatbelt rule.
Oh, so she knows the rules?
I told her just a few of them.
73, are there more?
You're cute. I like it.
So they all go on a journey. They first they travel in like this soccer mom minivan, which makes Woody Harrelson so upset because he wants to travel in style because he likes to go big or go home. So they come across this abandoned RV. They have to shoot a horde of zombies who are trying to kill them.
They get introduced to the T-800s.
Yeah.
Which basically are like the Terminator of zombies. So you have to shoot them it's not a double tap this time. It's you just keep shooting them until you completely destroy their head.
And they have these really glitchy
almost like the Terminator.
Yeah, I kind of liked that movie that movement that it set them aside so much from all the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell a T-800 from far away because of that kind of glitchy movement.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to the directors that each of the different zombie types had their own style of
And
movement.
you knew as soon as they came that they're either in trouble or they're just nothing. They're not harmless.
And I loved the moments with the RV where the screenwriters subverted our expectations because they get into the RV, they're about to drive off and look for Abigail Breslin, and then the tire pops. And so they have to go back into the minivan, which sets them off on the rest of this journey. But just like the comedic touches of this movie, they legitimately did make me laugh. I detected a bit of Deadpool humor. I mean, I think they amplified the meta humor in this movie. But you can't really blame the screenwriters for doing that because they found success, working with this kind of formula.
But it also kind of fit with what was going on, especially with having what's his name, Columbus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Being this narrator and being the narrator of the movie. So having that fourth wall break actually fit, I think. Mm-hmm. It didn't pull me out of the movie. It's just, you accepted it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And this is where the movie started to drag a little bit for me because they traveled to this, what was it? It was like a hotel.
Graceland.
They first go to Graceland. Graceland's completely and totally torn down because Abigail Breslin, Little Rock, wanted to go to Graceland because Woody Harrelson's character, and I'm forgetting what city he's from, Wichita. Tallahassee. Sorry, Wichita was the other guy.
No, Wichita was Emma Stone.
Yeah. So Tallahassee wanted to go to Graceland, and he talked about Graceland all the time. So Little Rock wanted to go there. So they went there. It was completely and totally derelict. There was no lights, no anything. There was no reason to be there. So they drove off and they found this hotel that was a tribute to the King and Elvis.
And who did they bump into?
Rosario Dawson, who is known as Nevada.
Of Daredevil and Sin City fame. Every time
She is
Rosario
epic.
Dawson shows up in something, it just puts a smile on my face because I really like her as an actress. But like I
She's
said,
fun.
this was where the movie started to drag a little bit for me because they arrive at this hotel where Dawson is. They then meet their two doppelgangers played by
Oh my
Luke
God.
Wilson and Thomas Middleditch.
Okay, I thought that was hilarious at first, and then 5 minutes later it started to drag.
It was a little disconnected from everything else that was happening, and it felt like something funny they wanted to put in the movie. But I thought it went on a little bit too long.
But then the fact that they just, not instantly, it took a little bit, but, killed them off was like,
Yeah.
okay, good, we could actually do without them being...
Yeah, if they had been around for much longer, I would have been annoyed.
From a technical standpoint, there is a very impressive action sequence where Jesse Eisenberg and Woody Harrelson are trying to kill Luke Wilson and Thomas Middleditch because the latter have been infected with the zombie virus. And It's all done in one take, and it's just such a breath of fresh air, especially given this director's last movie, which was Venom. I wasn't overly impressed with the action sequences in Venom because a good number of them were shot like during the evening, so the lighting was very dark. It was often told to separate characters from one another.
This one was very bright, but not only that, if I could go for what it was most similar to after as a style, I would say it reminded me of the like the Daredevil from the Netflix, where they do the one take fights in the hallways, or the Defenders.
Yes.
When you had all four of them,
Yes.
Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Danny, God, I forget his last name, Danny Rand, and Matt Murdock all fighting their way out, and they just had all these different fights going on at once, and it was all done in one take.
Which is appropriate because Rosario Dawson is in this movie, and she was in all those Marvel shows.
Oh yeah, she was the night nurse.
My sister is gone. She picked up a boy. He's from Berkeley.
Berkeley.
You don't have weed, do you?
Do I look like the type of person that would have weed?
I'm sorry.
Boom. Yeah. I have nothing against hippies. I just want to beat the shit out of them.
Where do they end up by the end of the movie?
By the end of the movie, they end up in this like little town that was created like basically by all these like hippies. Berkeley.
It was essentially the establishment and Land of the Dead, which was this community built behind these walls to keep out the zombies. But in this case, it was infested by hippies, like not just hippies, but stereotypical like '60s hippies.
And then you got the person at the door. It's like, give me your guns, because they have to burn them, and it's supposed to be peace and love, so you can't have any weapons there, which basically messes everything up in the end, because then you have all the T-800s coming after them because they're shooting off fireworks. Like, why the heck are we shooting off fireworks in the zombie apocalypse?
Yeah, I was wondering how they were going to top or even match the conclusion of the first movie, because the first movie you had this fun action sequence set like at this carnival,
Which also included one of the stupidest choices in horror movie history, in my opinion. Who in the middle of a zombie apocalypse goes to an abandoned fair and turn it all on?
They were being very hopeful. They were naive, but they wanted to hold on to hope. I just didn't like the part with the zombie clown.
Why would you get into one of the up and down rides while zombies are... Anyways.
If the zombie apocalypse ever occurs, the first place I'm going to go to is Disney World, because goddamn it, even though zombies have taken over the earth, I still want some goddamn Dole Whip.
You're gonna be the Tallahassee with Dole Whip.
Instead of Twinkies, I'll just want Dole Whip. So anyway, I was wondering how they were going to top or even match this, because the conclusion of the first movie, it was very fun. It was energetic, and they really stepped it up here by having this hippie commune where they are essentially attacked by this huge swarm of zombies. Just zombies filling up the screen, and eventually they get them to follow them up to the top of this high structure. Mm-hmm. And Woody Harrelson has a very heroic moment where he basically runs in slow motion towards the edge of the building. He makes a jump forward. He grabs onto like this crane, which resulted in one of my favorite visuals of the movie, where the zombies are just pouring
off the building,
just like
lemmings.
Yeah,
they were just like falling to their death. And oh my God.
And then you have to love Woody Harrelson's character's line there, like, "Did I make it for the zombie hero of the year?"
the zombie kill of the year.
Zombie kill of the year.
Those were fun. I think that another thing that happens with a lot of zombie movies that we should discuss also, and this started, it's almost kind of like a tradition ever since Romero did Night of the Living Dead, is the social and political commentary. And believe it or not, even though a lot of people watch this movie and they're like, you know what, it's fun, it's comedy and stuff like that, and it was not overbearing to have this at all. They did have a couple of things to say.
What was the commentary?
Well, obviously there's a commentary about just complete and total getting rid of firearms. Because they're showing that, I'm sorry, it's true.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of that movie Tremors with Kevin Bacon, where you have this small town where people are so against using firearms, and then you have this one couple, Reba Wilson and I can't remember the other actor's name, but they're like gun nuts, and then this small town gets invaded by these like underground slugs, and shit hits the fans, and everyone suddenly really needs these guns.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, just to see all these characters together at the end, including the new ones like Rosario Dawson and Zoe Dutch, I'm hoping they make more of these in the future. If they want to make a new Zombieland every 10 years, it'd be like Richard Linklater's Before series.
Oh,
I think that'd be really neat.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool. What do you think?
I think so too. I mean, come on, let's have the next Zombieland 3 be like, what, Jesse Eisenberg and Emma Stone having a baby or something?
Oh God.
They,
I think, but let's not wait 10 years. I think 5 years is long enough.
Exactly.
They raise their kid to be this gun-toting, zombie slaying badass.
Well, of course.
Now,
That's smart and can follow the rules.
Now, can we talk about the mid-credit sequence?
Yeah.
Oh,
Best
mid-credit
mid-credit
sequence.
scene
Okay,
ever. Kim.
I love mid-credit sequences.
Kim, give us the setup.
So you basically have Jesse Eisenberg's character. He, interrupts throughout the credits, and he adds in there about the whole, that whole scene that you mentioned about Rosario Dawson's character mentioned about, oh, if I find out whoever killed Bill Murray, I'm going to kill them and blah, blah. So he mentions how, he's very sorry about killing him and that he wished he didn't do that. And then it cuts into the scene of when Bill Murray was still alive. And it was like the beginning of the zombie apocalypse. And what did he do to make himself basically?
Well, he's doing this press conference for
Garfield.
Garfield 3. What was that? It was Garfield 3.
I don't remember the tagline, but it was Garfield 3.
Flabby Tabby or something like that.
He was just like, oh God.
And we get to see Al Roker as a zombie. Because Al Roker is the one who attacks Bill Murray, which leads to Bill Murray just, killing off all these zombies in a completely badass fashion.
Oh yeah, he was just tearing through them.
Oh my goodness. It's a Bill Murray you haven't seen.
It's probably the most badass thing Bill Murray has done since Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I would say including Ghostbusters, because he wasn't that physical during Ghostbusters. He was kind of just pointing a ray gun at them. He was getting his hands dirty.
He was pointing his ray gun at Sigourney Weaver.
Ew.
I don't like you at all.
I think you double parked. Or more perpendicular parked. Hope we don't get a ticket.
What is going on here?
What? Hello, everyone.
Am I hallucinating?
So overall, Zombieland Double Tap, it didn't quite live up to the first, but honestly, if you go in just expecting another fun ride, with these characters, and if you just want to see this cast being hilarious and you want to get some cool moments involving, zombies, this sequel will deliver that in spades. Honestly, the only major complaint that I have about it is the story structure. I didn't think it was as tight. I thought it could have been a bit more cohesive. I did think the middle section kind of dragged, but overall, I give it a thumbs up. I would say if I were to grade it out of 10, I'd probably give it a 7. What do you guys think?
I give it a 9.
Okay, so I have to agree with you, Josh, when it comes to the dragging. I think that they could have shortened the part with Luke Wilson and Flagstaff. Sorry, I don't remember the guy's name. And you've said it like 6 times. So they could have shortened that a little bit. I think they had that a little bit long with him and Jesse Eisenberg's character comparing their rules. I mean, 3
There are
rules
commandments,
and then there are rules. You could have done 3 of them, and we would have gotten the picture. You didn't have to go through 10 of them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think I can agree with you that it dragged there. They should have tightened that up a little bit. Like I said, I love Abigail Breslin, and I think they could have done much more with her character, even though she was on this road trip. Because the switch with her going from, oh, I'm hippie and pacifist now, to taking the last zombie out with a gun that was given to her for Christmas by Tallahassee, and being like, yeah, she's my favorite Christmas present. Like, I'm going to get rid of this. They could have done more with her journey, and I think Abigail Breslin could have handled that and still make it funny. Other than that, I loved it. Fun ride. I laughed. I thought it was hilarious. So I would give it probably about an 8.
Kim, any final thoughts?
Basically agree with both of you. Just that one little scene that could have been a little bit short. Didn't have to stretch it out as long. But other than that, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I definitely would look forward to another Zombieland movie in the future. So, I mean,
if they do another Zombieland, though, they have to bring back Rosario Dawson's character,
Yes.
who we find out is actually named Reno. And and I would love to see Berkeley can go to hell, but I would love to see Madison back too. Like I said, she was the best new character, and it hurts me to say that because I love Rosario Dawson.
But guys, those are our thoughts on Zombieland Double Tap. Thank you so much for joining us. If you liked the skit at the beginning, by the way, please let us know down below in the comments. We had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah.
Our friend Brian did a great job as a zombie. Honestly, I think that whole thing was just an excuse to tie Brian up to a chair.
Yes.
But yes, if you like this,
Yes, it was.
if you like this, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Round the Clock Frights.
Double tap to subscribe.
Double tap to subscribe.
Next week,
Double tap.
Next week, we'll be giving you a black and white review of The Lighthouse. Looking forward to that. And before we sign off here, hold on, 1 second.
Oh no.
Hold on.
No. I don't know what he's doing.
I'm scared.
Hold me.
Eat candy corn.
Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock, happy, happy Halloween.